Hello, welcome everyone to the people joining us from across the world for this wonderful conversation that I get to have with Gohar Dashti. My name is Mary Pelletier. I'm a print sales specialist at the Photographers Gallery. And I'd also like to say thank you very much to Photo London for facilitating this conversation between Gohar and myself. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to work with Gohar on her first solo exhibition here in the UK. And it is on view at the Photographers Gallery in London through the 13th of November. So if you are in town, do stop by. We would love to see you and discuss Gohar's work further. I'm just going to start by doing a little outline of the format of the talk today. First off, if anyone has any questions throughout the conversation, there's a chat box. So do feel free to pop questions into the chat box and we'll revisit all of them at the end, or if they specifically apply to an image that's being shown, I'll be able to pull them up and ask them to Gohar while we're speaking. So I'll start off with a short introduction of Gohar and her work and our collaboration here in London. And then Gohar will share some images and presentations about the different series that we have here on view. You can see the home series behind me here. And then we will open it up to questions at the end for the last 15 minutes. So without further ado, Gohar, we will begin. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the old people listen today.
Yes. So I'll start with a brief introduction about Gohar. She was born in 1980 in Avaz, a city in southwestern Iran, in the early years of the Iranian Revolution. She received her MA in photography from Tehran University of Art in 2005. For the past 17 years, she has been making large-scale photography with a particular focus on social issues. Her work references history and contemporary culture, as well as the convergence of anthropological and sociological perspectives. Employing a unique quasi-theatrical aesthetic, she brings to bear a diverse intellectual and cultural experience to illuminate and elaborate upon her perception of the world around her. Dashti's works have found homes around the globe in the permanent collections of the Victoria and Albert Museum, London, the Mori Art Museum, Tokyo, the Smithsonian Museum, Washington, DC, and more. Dashti's photographs were also part of the Burnt Generation exhibition at Somerset House in London in 2014. Rooted in ideas of connection to and disconnection from her own home, Gohar's images are charged with universal ideas of displacement, migration, and belonging. But as we'll discuss, there are also very autobiographical elements in their inception. And it must be said that in the weeks since we opened this exhibition, vast protests began and continue across Iran, and an uprising sparked by the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in police custody, accused of a dress code violation. The geographies in these images are now a backdrop for the mass uprising taking place across the country and continued violence against those speaking out. So that's something to bear in mind as well as we're discussing these images, these recent events that we will have seen on the news. Our present exhibition is titled Across Land and Sea. We decided that this title encapsulated the ideas present in Gohar's recent work, which meditate on the similarities and differences she encounters between the land she photographs, from her present base in the United States and her homeland of Iran. It is also a nod to the physical travel involved in constructing many of these images you'll see today. Meticulously constructing singular, often surreal scenes, her process can be likened to that of a filmmaker, creating visual meditations on the effects of geopolitical conflict and what is left behind. Dashti's practice has centered around an attentiveness to the natural world. Over time, her depiction of the land, sea, and sky has evolved. Our exhibition opens with an image from the Stateless series from 2014-2015, in which two men pull a palm tree across a desert, sandwiched between the sand and the sky. And you can see that in back of me here, if the light allows. In this scene, for the displaced figures, the space becomes an imagined refuge, mapping ideas of identity onto their immediate landscape in the image. So that's the image that we opened the exhibition with, kind of taking that as a starting point to explore where Gohar's work has moved on from since 2014, 2015. And so I think I'd like to begin by asking Gohar about her home series, which you can see a spread of in back of me here. So Gohar, Home series was made in 2017, and it was your first series that moved away from positioning figures within the landscape. The title Home is evocative of comfort, domestic space, inhabited space, something familiar. In these images, the interior spaces have been taken over by natural elements, but they were placed there by you specifically, moved and brought in. An essential question you raised in making this series is what happens when a home is left behind? What happens to the environment when human populations are displaced and destroyed by war? So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about your decision to bring natural elements into these spaces that have been abandoned, and how you used the natural worlds to explore the ideas in answering these questions.
Yes, for sure, Mary. It's good to say thank you. You say some word about what happened in Iran right now, and thank you for your support. And I think it's really important, we talk about that louder everywhere.
Yeah.
If you let me, I want to share a screen and talk first about home areas, and we can go to the next step.
Perfect. Fantastic. Okay. So that's you there in the center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So home series, as I think I should talk a little bit about how the idea came and what is the background a little bit. As you mentioned, I was born and grew up in 1918 in Ahvaz, the city where war happened between Iran and Iraq from 1980 to 1988. And I had lots of paradoxical living experiences between the life and death in the wartime. And my project always began with the question from the heart of these experiences. I am a storytelling that make a story with the people and nature and invite the audience to imagine the story. So, and I just wanted to show some photo of the nature around the city that I was grew up and what happened for the nature after the war. People in when the war or something like that happened or disaster happened, people can go somewhere, but nature stay. And this is the area that you can see the photos of that area. I grew up and I had a really, memory. My father plants a palm in the yard of our home. And 10 years ago, when I went there, no one was there, all gone. But the nature, the palm still was there.
Really?
The shape little bit changed, but still was there. And the idea came from me, how much power, nature have. So, and I started to do a research about finding a building. The people left the country for different reasons, and also in the parallel find the right greenhouse or good gardener helped me for this setup photos. And
yes, that's something we talked about a lot when you were here in London for the opening of the exhibition, the fact that actually even in that attention to detail of what will happen to these installations when they're finished, you were renting the plants from gardeners.
Yeah, I can see most of them. I rent the plant and return them to them, but it was very difficult part. They understand why one person want to rent a plant for one day. So yeah, and it was a big setting, and it's in a different home that most of them belong to the Pahlavi era.
Okay.
For the revolution, end of the Qajar, beginning of the first Pahlavi and second Pahlavi. And the building, some of them occupied with the government, some of them just abandoned place. Mm-hmm. And I really try, I just talked to do really good architecture, really helped me at the beginning, offer me so amazing, beautiful, Iranian home and architecture. I love them. As a photographer, I started to took a lot of photos because it was beautiful. And after I back and hang them in my studio, and I saw, oh, they are really beautiful. It's much more about the beauty of the building, not about my concept. And I wanted to show this home can be everywhere, not specifically in Iran, and has a much more meaning. Is it the main reason I choose, this particular building?
Okay, I see.
Because
And some of them were ex-government buildings. Is that correct?
some of them, it belong to the government rights now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People in the home series, move out, and the image show what happened when one's home is left behind.
Mm-hmm.
The photograph revealed the power of the nature to consume a home. When I talk about the war in my work, it's referred to the war in the work, and also refer to my memory about the war when I was a child. Usually my work starts with the personal perspective, but about the home series, it's not only a personal exploration of the nature, but it's also about how nature can be political.
Mm.
How, when you have to move out, what happened for your roots in the place? What happened to the environment when human population are displaced or destroyed by war? People are transit while nature is constant. It will be there long after we are gone. So it's much more, is it for me, even as you said, as much, I focus on more about the nature, but still I'm talking about the people. Maybe you see the plants and flower, but all of the photos talking about the root of the people. Maybe, the way I'm talking, the form is different, but the same concept for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of that contrast between absence and presence.
Exactly.
That all of the images make you think about, and that nature is always kind of bearing witness to what might be happening, and how those memories, the kind of seeing that triggers our own memories, whatever they may be in the natural landscape.
Yeah, that's totally, I can say most of my project is about relationship between identity, citizenship, and meaning of the home. Even the beginning of my project or recent work is much more focused on the nature, but is again about the identity of the nature, missing place, and the form is, I just play with the form, but I always talking about the one thing. So what's the meaning of the home? What's the meaning of the identity, belonging, how you can find yourself in a new land? So what's the meaning of the lands for you? So and also I just wanted to show you how we present home series. For example, this one in Spain is an outdoor show. We present next to the sea.
It's beautiful.
And also, if you like to know more about the behind the scenes of the project, is in YouTube, and also in MFA Museum Boston is an interview about home series.
Yes, that's a really lovely conversation, talking about how you installed the exhibition in the MFA in Boston, and but it's also good to see kind of the works in situ outside. It gives them a whole different feeling as to when you see them framed on the walls, when you can kind of walk through them almost and move through them. I wonder what, in terms of the setup, and if you watch the video, which is on that webpage, and we'll try and share the link to the YouTube video of Gohar putting together these images and constructing the sets, as it were. What kind of were your cinematic impulses in creating these images, as though you're designing a set almost? What was that, the process like, the physicality of moving things in? How did that affect the work when you were actually doing it, and changes you might have made during that process, from the plan to the actual sort of, execution of how you installed them?
About, if I want to talk specifically about the home series, because each project is a little bit different. For example, we're going to talk about the land, but land, it was exactly what I designed before the shooting. Production usually take lots of time, but It's, you know, when I have an idea, I find a location, write plans and how I want to set, and I usually draw what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I start, usually, you know, I just started to don't move my camera, choose the view, edit my level. I just want to take a photos, but maybe a little bit changing inside from the flower or plant, how I want to present it and how tall or small, you know, how, you know, maybe if I want to hide one part of the building
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to show that. It's like, it's something that I decide when I'm shooting.
Mm-hmm.
About the concept and about I can say 80% I know,
Yeah.
you know, when I start the shooting, but it's a little bit changed, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The other project, like we're gonna talk about, like disappearing nature, is totally opposite with the one, you know, that I'm talking right now.
Right, the most recent, that it's left up to chance. Yeah,
Yeah.
because these are so kind of meticulously constructed, and even the perspectives and on the size of some of the larger prints, it's you know, almost as though the depth of the hallways, you can walk right in, and there are layers to the images, and some are very frontal. So kind of when, and we'll talk about this a bit later as well, when you take the series as a whole, you can see these different avenues into kind of studying the flora and studying the earth and what.
That's right. And all the photo doesn't have the contrast lighting. Not when you look at that, you see everything in a one, you know, where the first reaction is look like you see everything. And after that, you look at the detail. It's like how we look at the miniature.
Mm-hmm.
In miniature, we see everything at the beginning. And I love this concept. It's very Eastern philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
You look at everything at the beginning, after inside, outside people. And after that, you look the detail and, you know, motif and how is the reaction and color, why is gold, why is not. And I always trying to keep this form in all of my photos.
When you have that immediate effect.
Yes.
You feel something and then you pick it apart.
That's right. When you have a contrast or you have even very composition, what is front, what is, you know, what is in back, you just, and the photography has this possibility. I know I can see just your face, not your background. Yeah. But I just want to change the photography as this possibility and just show everything, like, you know, everything on the surface. Mm-hmm. See plants, building, and after that you just discover the beauty of the building and the nature. What's the good connection? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. If we move on a couple of years, we jump into the lands series, which we also have a few examples of here at the gallery, which is again a very specifically constructed setup, as you mentioned. And but it is different because in fact it's merging the ideas and visuals of two landscapes that are both homes to you in a way. Your home in America as the country in which you're living now, and then revisiting Iran and different parts of Iran. And I'm really interested in the physicality of these images. So I don't know if you want to share the screen.
Yes, sure.
For the land section. And explain how they're made, because interestingly in the gallery, the most questions we've had have related to the lands series, with people asking, you know, are they digitally manipulated? Are there mirrors in the landscape? And so many people are kind of picking out the traces of how they're actually made and study them and stand in front of them and kind of like meditate on how did she do this? And I think that there are layers of the physical uniting of these landscapes that really interests me in this series. So yeah, I thought that maybe we could start out by we've talked a little bit about postcards and the idea of images of one land traveling to another, and how, you know, that's a visual mode of communication, you know, since the, you know, 19th, earlier centuries, and how that sort of informed your ideas about moving these images between your countries?
It's Lands project is regardless of who we are or life, our layer and richly texture with the physical and figurative uprooting and migration. Is it the general concept about the lands? And at one of my trip, one of my immigrant friend asked me to take a postcard back to her family in Iran. And on the front of the postcard was a photograph of the nature environment in her new home. And on the back, he had written, "I live here, a place similar to our home." So it's like he wants us to show I am safe here because the nature looks like home.
Yeah.
And also, I remember a documentary Nadia Shihab make it and show it in McDowell residency when I was there in 2017. In one dialogue, her Iraqi mom said, "I like Texas because the smell of the nature is look like Baghdad." So it's these two things really affect emotionally, because especially that time I was almost new in United States, and I spent lots of time in the nature to discover, to see how is the nature, because nature is nature, tree is tree. You can, it's the same. But also I feel it's not same, it's different. Even the tree, your hometown, your connection, your root with the tree is different. So it was, it came to my mind, and I started to do a research, and I found this amazing postcard in Harvard University in the Women World in Qajar, Iran archive in Harvard University, that the one Iranian Mehdi Ali Mirza went to Germany and wrote the postcard from the Rhine and explained about the Rhine River, that the sister understand where is the Rhine. And also the other thing, I really wanted to do a research. I did a big research about who came to Iran, and started to do a painting or drawing of Iranian nature and show it to Western, the opposite way. And what was the result? One of the person I found, it was Alberto Pessini. I found the amazing collection in one private collector in Boston, and he came to Iran and draw, Iranian nature in different places and show it in the Western. That's how it looks like that. The people know how is it, but the attitude and the perspective is very Western.
Yeah.
So when they look at the landscape, and also I did the research about the landscape and memory, and how landscape, and the nature has a memory work for you. If you don't have a memory from this landscape, is it similar connection, or do you understand this one, or you don't understand that? It's like, make him much more question about, about this matter. That's very interesting. For the first time in 2009, when I went to the residency in Yorkshire, and I had a residency, and it was, they choose in Bradford, they choose the 1 mile, and they invite me as an artist to do a project in that mile. And I started to asking the people living in neighborhood, how is your feeling living here? And so the lots of Indian and Pakistani people live in that region, and when I asked them, they say, "Oh, we are not from here. We just we are from India or from Pakistan." And when I asked the British people, "Are you from here?" they usually, most of them answer, "No, we just work here." Okay. And I feel it's like a lost city. And when I look at the nature in that area, it's what really lost. It's not, no one really care. You don't feel the memory and the meaning of that. People doesn't have the connection from the memory they have. So, I can say the start thinking about the nature and connection with the culture from 2009 in Bradford.
That's so interesting. And you think like how much actual natural landscape people are coming into into interaction with on a daily basis, and how much the natural world versus the built world and the city world, you know, it makes you think about those connections. And if you're in a city,
That's
how
right.
anonymous you can feel, and how that sort of feeling, and how you go about your day not really like thinking about your surroundings. It's more of like a mission to get to where you need to go.
That's right. I totally feel that. You know, it's and I just went and I did the project about some secret garden inside the Bradford, inside the downtown of the city.
Oh.
Yes, as it like a lost place is inside, not belong to anyone, and the people don't spend the time to walking and lots of growing, you know, grass around. It's like it was, but it was something you feel. I feel, you know, how you can connect to the new lands, you know, and how much you can like it. It's yeah. So, and I started to travel across the US, cover the nature here. And for example, this one in San Diego, if anyone like to know where is my base, now I live in, you know, I live in my studio in Boston. I live in Cambridge and in San Diego, close to the Mexico border. And I travel in different places and I took lots of photos to discover nature. And after that, the way I'm talking about the project, as you said at the beginning, oh yeah, you can do it digitally or you can do something else. But the way I'm talking about the project is about the concept. So it's the main reason now I'm talking, you know, step by step how I did the project, because you understand the concept more. And I went to in 2017, I went to the art residency in Shoppingen in Germany. And in Munster was a big sculpture project show that every 10 years it's happened. It started from 1977 and I was there 2017. So, and I saw Dan Graham works in a park and see the reflection of the landscape and how that side understand the other side and what is real, what is not real. So, and you just, you know, thinking more about the reality or, you know, that. And I love that. And I trying to find the other work of Dan Graham, and it's the other one I really like. And, but he, you know, all the work is with the mirror. So, and this work in Qatar and Richard Serra, how this big panel don't let go through the, you know, nature is like something like a barrier. And
yes, I've been there. I've witnessed it. It's massive. But yes, it's so sturdy. There's no transparency, even though there's space between them. And the perspective changes as you move around. It's a different sculptural experience. Yeah.
So, and just wanted to show some of the inspiring about the project or this Canadian set design. I saw it in Paris in 2014. And after that, I went to Iran, make a large panel, wood panel. So it was 4 meter to 3 meter, and traveling across the Iran. And I've just trying to find the right location for each piece. At the beginning, I traveling and shoot the photos in Iran, in the Iranian landscape, and came home to a studio and just use it with the Photoshop, which photo I have in from United States, with which location in Iran. And I choose which one should I be, you know, it's the one really helpful using the photo. So, and when I choose the photos, I went again to that location and installed the panel.
So you did kind of like a trip to scope out the various landscapes you thought might work well. And then what returned?
Yes.
Because
you cannot do a risk. It's, you know, it's really huge production. And so, and I have to print. I had a team. I don't want to waste my time. So I should to know what I really want to know, what I want to do. So one things happened for me during this trip, the panel. What happened for the panel? At the beginning, the panel was clean and surface was so good. And after traveling a lot, you can see what happened for the panel, especially when I put it in the ocean, and the sea, in the Caspian, I'm sorry, not in the ocean, the sea, in Caspian Sea. And it was at the beginning, I said, okay, I want to make another panel. Maybe it's the one things, Mari, I decided when I was shooting. So, because I wanted to change the panel, but after I saw that, for me was kind of a suitcase traveling a lot. So, and suitcase has a damage during the traveling. Right. And I love that. And I even trying to add something during the shooting.
Well, I think it also kind of, when you can see those traces of wear and tear and that the physical elements of the journey, it also kind of speaks to the idea of the images traveling, but then it's your travel as well. It's a journey, it's your journey from two different landscapes, and then you can see the physical traces on it. But it takes a while and a look at the whole series to really start to understand that process as well, because we can't see in the finished photographs the whole process you're showing us behind.
Exactly. Yeah, it is important that you see the whole series, and sometimes you see the panel, sometimes you don't know, is it a panel or is it a mirror? It's like, you know, all the time playing with your mind, what is it? And also, and the panel is an American landscape installed in Iranian landscape. American landscape, like a barrier, don't let you go through the perspective of Iranian landscape. So, and also I wanted to play with that, and also wanted to play with the meaning of the perspective in the Eastern philosophy, just, you know, uncover the perspective, don't let go through the perspective. And this body of work also doesn't have a contrast, and everything is, you know, you can see everything in the first time when you saw the photos. And after that, you know, I select an editing and Tehran image work, and it was the you know, the process usually it's take lots of time. And yeah,
we'll scroll through some of the full series, and yes, like we were saying, when you see them together as a whole, there are some that look like mirrors, much like this one, and the landscapes are so similar in a way that maybe people viewing in other parts of the world might not realize these are from two completely separate continents. And I think I was looking at them as well, thinking, you know, how are these landscapes so similar? And then a few of them you see the kind of differences, and it's much more obvious, like this one. The scale is different, but it makes you think about, these similarities between the landscape and what you've been talking about a little bit with me about seeing specific trees or specific bushes and like it triggering a memory in you about either something you've seen in your childhood or in your travels, and how those similarities then click a memory for you.
That's totally right. But it's good to know, you know, the first thing when I want to choose a location, it was not just a similar location. Yes, the first thing for me was, how is my feeling in two different land, you know, and make a much more sometimes question is like, and playing with that as can be there or cannot be there, or is exactly my feeling when I'm in the, you know, two landscape, and how I feel belonging, not belonging, identity, how is a memory when you have a memory or you don't have a memory, or bring the memory in new land. So I make a much more question about, you know, for example, this one cannot be in a tiny river here, but it's there. So
Yeah, the one of the water where the sea is pulling away to before, that one, we have that here in the gallery.
Yes.
And I've looked at it a lot, you know, and kind of looking at the bits at the bottom that are coming away, and you can see the images you've created. And yeah, it's almost like a cinema screen, kind of like looking straight frontal forward on. And yeah, the idea that you cannot see what's behind it, like you said, it's also very
In
interesting.
each panel that you can see, everything is calm. A group is standing behind.
Yeah, like 4 people holding it up in the ocean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me, stop share screening. And
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's beautiful to see all those images together in a set, because I think it speaks to, yeah, that idea of travel, and also interesting to hear about the physical marks of the journeys on the boards themselves, because it's the whole thing is such a physical process to me. That's what I feel when I look at them. And yeah, what we've been trying to speak with people about when they come in and they ask, because they're contemporary photographs, and a lot of people assume everything is digital these days. And we're like, actually, no, there are a lot of men behind that board helping to hold it up. Also, kind of moving from the bigger picture to a more detailed picture. Around the same time you were making the land series, you also made a series called Uprooted, which are very detailed studies of local plants around the places you were traveling in. And yeah, you've also got some photos of those, I believe. So it's a series of 5 images. And they've been photographed like botanical studies. And I was actually, when I first saw this image, that first image and the second one, I was shocked to see the size of these plants, because the scale of the prints themselves is quite a bit smaller than that real size. So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about moving from that big picture to the smaller picture and the details around the same time, and what ideas you were exploring in looking at these very specific uprooted plants and how you found them.
yeah, actually, Uprooted as a project, I can say one of the, things really I really learned from that. It was spend a lot of time in the Harvard Museum of Natural History, pointing over the case after case of a glass flower and plants in the Glasgow collection, which contain more than 4,000 handmade glass models.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
And glass, like hand blown glass.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All of them has a lots of detail and information. I spend a lot of time with my son, especially winter, and it's close by to my home, to see and beauty of the each by each. And I wanted, and the form of the Uprooted project came from, that collection, I can say. And also I have a Iranian flower stamp. Most of them that I have is belong to the during the wartime in Iran and beginning of the revolution. It's and they make it for Iranian New Year, Nowruz time. So it was lots of things happened. The war happened, and also it was a new regime came. But in every Nowruz, they make it just Iranian flower stamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in that yearly mindset. There's going to be the floral.
That's right.
Floral time of year, the floral New Year.
Exactly, and they're very tiny and small when you look at them, see the detail, and I love and really enjoy it. And Uprooted, as you can see, the project, the size is very small. It looks like scientific photos. You go to the Natural Museum to see the, new plants, and I love how you look at. You want to know more detail. You want to see all the, root and flowers. But the other hand, you can see the root part of this flower that visually see that. It's like the people, you see me, but you don't know where is my root and how is the shape of my root. So, and also the background, those don't give you any information about where they are blind. It's kind of like uh, when I, in the history of American photography, when the Americans start to take a photo of the Indian American, just choose the face with the no background, gray background. We don't know where they are blind, and just we saw the shape as a science research, It was much
ethnographic study.
exactly. Yeah. And and just wanted to see, oh, maybe if you don't know, you just feel, okay, it's about the science, but it's not. It's exactly about the uprooting, and it's about the one part and sensitive part. And we don't usually see that, especially this plant is from that part. It's very dry and no water in that area. And they just open the road and destroy the nature around that. And in the Zagros mountain. And we don't know we're going to see them again or not. So, and how is the connection with the human? So I just choose 5 photos that, as you can see in the beginning, you see how tall those are. They are very big, but I just wanted to show them very small one. You see the detail, be close, look at, and
there's an incredible detail when you see them up close. You can see every tiny bit of, where they were in the soil, all of the little strings of roots. Exactly. They're incredibly detailed studies. And I remember when we were speaking about it, how you also, when we were talking about kind of returning, the nature that you're photographing back to nature and making sure there's no waste and there's no, ideas of trying to make photographs that share a message for you, but then also not wasting the plants and returning them to where you found them, and they've been uprooted already.
Exactly. Is it the one, the way I am working, is it the way I'm talking about the concept? So I like to, maybe it's taken lots of, for example, when I'm talking about the land, I took a photo, went to Iran, print the American landscape, install it in Iranian landscape, and to see the dialogue, and also talk about the border. Nature can be borderless. The way I did the project is about the concept too. So I really enjoy, how I make my project. Maybe you can sit and working with the computer. I'm sure the result is going to be totally different, but I love the process.
Yeah. We're okay for time, but I'm going to jump ahead slightly and talk about your most recent series, which is called Disappearing Nature, in which the process is a bit more, I won't say chaotic, but uncertain. And you don't necessarily know what you are going to, the results will be. And as if you could introduce how you started this series during your most recent residency at McDowell in New Hampshire, and the Polaroids. I also have a framed one I'll grab while you start talking about it. I can show that.
New England has a beautiful nature. When I was in a residency in McDowell for the second time, I started to take photos of the for the landscape. Just see how is the nature in that area. And after that, I took a very beautiful I had a very beautiful landscape photos, and I came to a studio and I start to put the fire and burn them to destroy the photograph and also
emulsion.
Nature, exactly, with the heating system. Is kind of like a climate changing, how the nature, destroyed, and how we're going to see the future nature, how it look like. So we don't have any idea. How is the shape of the tree on future. And I opened the obelisk, I opened the Polaroid to see inside what's the effect of the nature on my photos. So, and I, see something that you are seeing right now, and I didn't change anything, just scan them and present them as that's it. But the biggest problem, everything was accident, I couldn't control, and I took more than 100
Okay.
16 photos. And also every time when I wanted to destroy my photos, it looked like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, because all of them was very beautiful landscape photos. I destroyed my photos and also destroyed the nature. So I have something.
Yeah, you have some of the originals, don't you?
As
Wow.
They are very fragile.
And it's incredible how each one is so uniquely different. It's like a snowflake. It's the heat affects the chemicals and how the chemicals may have been applied to the film. And it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating to see the different colors that can come out of this. But in hearing you talk, it's so, this series really resonates with me, because I'm from near this area. And so hearing you talk about home and the way you create the images from the other series, for me, I see so much, I relate so much to the landscapes that you can still see within these images. It's so familiar to me. And it really, that seeing the landscape being twisted like that and melded, it really struck me personally. And made me think about that connection to the landscape I grew up in.
Yeah.
In a completely different way. And I think there's something so fantastic about the fact that you can go to this residency in New Hampshire, and then your view of the landscape and how you've manipulated it can then say something to me about a place where I grew up, and that translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were also talking a bit about Susan Sontag when we were discussing earlier, and so I'll just read a quote that we were sharing and you had sent to me. And the Susan Sontag quote is, "Cameras began duplicating the world at that moment when the human landscape started to undergo a vertiginous rate of change. While an untold number of forms of biological and social life are being destroyed, in a brief span of time, a device is available to record what is disappearing." And I think that the Polaroid it's such an obvious photographic touchstone for people viewing. That device, we know what device you're using to record. But then that manipulation says so much about the current state of what's happening to our natural landscape.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like my main question now. What is the shape of the nature and future? So lots of changing, and what we are doing right now. Maybe it's going to be kind of beauty for the next generation, but what's the meaning of beauty that time? It's like all the time make a question by question about that. Yeah.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. If anyone wants to pop any questions for Gohar in the chat box, let me just see if we've got any. I don't know if we do. Don't be shy. It's been really lovely to talk through all of these different series with you, Gohar, and kind of see that evolution of your thought processes and the way the different landscapes inform your whole practice.
Mari, if someone asks a question, maybe it's much more good you answer that about the size of the works. And
oh, I do see. Oh, sorry, I had my sorry about that. Sorry, go ahead, Gohar.
No. Someone asked a question about the large format work, and yes. So, and actually, I just wanted to say, depend on the project. Some of the work has a two size. Two sides, small and big. Some of them just small, and as depend on the project, the size is changed.
Sorry, yeah, my Q&A box was hidden for some reason.
It's in the more, I think.
Sorry?
The more.
Yeah, there's more. We have a comment, beautiful small emotions. Abby has asked, how did you make the uprooted photos? What was the process?
You know, when I found the plants next to the road, I just bring them to my studio, hang a big gray background, and I took the photos, just, you know, hang them floating between, you know, I just wanted to people see the root completely and up and feel float. And after that, yeah, that's it. And I took it and returned it back.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple, but very detailed.
Talk, you know.
Simple compared to having a whole
because
team.
Because lighting was very difficult. It was so big. So I wanted to every place had a light. So it was a difficult part to shoot.
And the fact that there's like a lack of shadow in those images is something you come to realize after a little while of looking at them. The fact that there's no shadow and kind of that illumination of light that you talked about with your other series, being even and not detracting, not signaling anything immediately.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so you mentioned about the collector and the acquisition.
Yeah, but if you know, as a curator, maybe, you know, you just want to add something, please.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're in a very small space here in the print sales gallery, and some of Gohar's works, a lot of them come in two sizes, a larger and a smaller. So we've mixed, as you can see behind me, one of the larger sizes and the smaller of the homes here. But yes, it's interesting, depending on who's coming in the door. It's nice to have the variety for those who might have a larger wall, because also at that scale, as I was saying before, the layers of almost walking into some of those views in the home series in particular is really striking, and kind of the depth of some of those images and on a large scale are just stunning. But also the fact that people are able to own them in a smaller size, especially if they really relate to a certain mode of architecture or part of the landscape in Gohar's work, then they're able to, you know, still own that photograph or have it in their home or office, or, you know, and see it every day. So that is, it's a mode of having options for people to also be able to enjoy and acquire the work that is, it's quite nice for me here in the gallery as well, to have the choice for people to be able to think about that. Yeah. Any more questions? No.
One question: how do you build up the relation with lands as an immigrant?
Oh wow, what's going on? Sorry, my
So it's, if I want to talk about it, it is a paradoxical of identity and belonging, I can say. Sometimes I see a tree similar to one we had in our yard, but my connection with tree is totally different. And it's, you know, when I stand in the new land and look at the new tree, which I have to memory, I try to recall my old memory. It's just trying to find the connection between the memory and my new land, I can say.
Interesting. Yes, sorry about that. My Q&A was, I can see them all now.
Yeah, okay.
There we are. Annabelle says they're stunning. Thank you for your response. Fantastic. Yes, it's interesting to think about, yeah, being an immigrant in a land and relating to that and feeling, we were talking about that because I'm from New England where you are and I live here. And now you live in the place where I grew up. So it's that interesting connection that you have to the landscape. And yeah, the more you've been talking today, the more I've been thinking about my experience in a city. And
I think it's very good question, because I can say all of my work is about that. How it is, how I can connect to the lands as a new person, how I understand the culture of the lands. So because I believe the land has a culture and has a connection with the culture. So, and it's I just bring this idea and talk about through my artwork, I can say.
What is coming up next for you?
Oh, now, I'm collaborating with the other project with my partner, Hamed, with Islamic geometric patterns and American and Iranian landscape. So we really focus on that right now.
So more geometrical sort of shapes.
Yes, exactly.
Which also speaks to the heritage, the design heritage.
Yeah, as I don't have the time, but but the idea of the Islamic geometric pattern is from the nature. How to make this shape, all the ideas came from the nature. So, and I wanted to use this pattern and also use the Iranian and American nature to make a collage with the hand collage. And so as the general idea about what I am doing right now.
Fantastic. Watch this space. We'll have more news, when some new works are available, more information for you to see. But I'd just like to say thank you to Gohar. If there are no more questions, if so, pop them in. Got a couple minutes left, but I just want to say thank you so much, to Gohar and to Photo London for allowing us to have this conversation. It's been absolutely lovely and illuminating to hear you speak about these works that I am surrounded by every day at the moment, which is fantastic. If anyone would like to come to the Photographers Gallery, there's one more question, I think. Nature and someone's saying thank you. And yes, it's if anyone would like to come and see this exhibition, it is on through the 13th of November here in London at the Photographers Gallery in the downstairs gallery. And we have more information on our website about all of the images from the series that you've seen here. So you're welcome to contact us if you'd like any more information. We're getting some of Gohar's books into the bookshop here at TPG, so we'll have those available for purchase hopefully quite soon. And yes, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone might have, further down the line if they pop in or drop me an email. You can find my contact details on the Photographers Gallery website. And yes, so I think that's it from me. Gohar, anything to add?
Thank you so much.
It's been lovely. It's been lovely.
It was a good conversation, and I'm happy to share my idea to all of you.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And we can stop the video. Enjoy your evening or your afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.
Bye.